Hello, drama queens! Today's episode question is, how many times do you have to kiss before you are finally considered to be together? We'll see at the end of this episode how it works out for Sang-Eun and Ji-ho. So get comfy, everybody, and let's binge. Episode 9 starts with a flashback to Ji-ho's college days. He lived in a small rundown student apartment, and across the hall lived his ex-wife, Jun Ju-yeon. Because she was young and beautiful, some sleazy guy would always loiter around to harass her. Ji-ho stood up for her by telling the guy that he was her older brother, so he better get lost. Ji-yeon then asked Ji-ho for a favor, which was to pretend to be her brother until she moved out of the hellhole. As thanks, she gave him a carton of chocolate milk. From then onwards, Ji-ho basically left his door open so he could easily watch over her and protect her from the perverts. He even occasionally tutors her and over time developed feelings for her from studying together too much. When they were both moving out, he confessed his feelings to her, to which she responded that you will only know love if you have been loved before. He took that as a rejection and was hurt for a long time over it. Now, back to the present, Ji-ho finds himself in the awkward situation of meeting his ex-wife after a long time, with Sang-Eun and Hae-Jin watching, no less. Ji-yeon tries to act more natural and introduces him as her ex-husband to her client Hae-Jin. Ji-ho ignores her attempt to be civil, grabs Sang-Eun's hand, and flees the scene. Ji-yeon is confused why her ex-husband is taking her client's fiancé away. Hae-Jin quickly explains that because he has a shoot coming up, he's asked his neighbor Ji-ho to come pick Sang-Eun up. In the car, the mood is stale. Ji-ho explains that he ended his marriage with Ji-yeon 7 years ago and they had been strangers since. Sang-Eun is upset by this, but she tells him right now she cares more about why he suddenly showed up to see her, and forcefully took her away from the scene. She then leaves Ji-ho in the parking garage to think her questions over as she chooses to walk home. A confused Ji-ho calls on his therapist. Since she's drinking by herself, she calls him out to join her. Can you imagine having drinks with your therapist? That could turn into a very revolutionary session, I think. Ji-ho shares his first relationship with her, saying that his ex-wife hated being poor, so he worked his ass off studying law to become a judge. He even secretly saved up to buy a nice condo, but when he was about to tell her about the house, she asked for a divorce. This was a devastating blow for him since he tried his hardest to love and to give, and in return all he got was rejection. This is why he turned off all emotions afterwards, because if you don't expose your heart, you won't get hurt. I'm sure all of us who's been hurt before can totally relate to that. Then, when he meets Sang-Eun, he finds it hard to control his emotions. He wants so badly to let her know how he feels, but he's afraid that she would reject him and then he wouldn't be able to see her anymore. His therapist tells him if he repeats everything that he said to her, he will definitely get Sang-Eun. Out of nowhere, Ji-ho's boss appears. It turns out that he is the therapist's brother. Ji-ho becomes worried that if she tells his boss any of the things that he shared with her, forget promotion, it might even be hard to keep his job. Thankfully, she's noticed some improvements in Ji-ho recently and doesn't feel the need to give him a bad psych evaluation. So that night, Ji-ho actually had a great time bonding with his boss and therapist at the same time. A drunk Ji-ho calls Sang-Eun out, but as she's waiting for him, Hae-Jin shows up instead. He wants to check in on how she's doing since he recognizes the awkwardness of their situation earlier with the ex-wife. Ever since Hae-Jin confessed to her, he's being more aggressive in his advances. The next scene proves to be hilarious. A tipsy Ji-ho finally arrives, and he sees a guy wearing a bicycle helmet acting suspiciously beside Sang-Eun. He mistakes this to be the same guy that tried to kidnap Sang-Eun and rushes over to fight him. Hae-Jin is getting ready to defend himself, only to find Ji-ho fast asleep the next second. He calls his friend to come help transport Ji-ho while he uses this chance to ask Sang-Eun out for dinner. Miss Yu, on the other hand, is waiting up late for Sang-Eun to come home like a worried mom, but she's too proud to call to check on her. She goes into Sang-Eun's room and comments on how she's taught her well to have classy taste and style, but has forgotten to teach her how to keep her room tidy. Hae-Jin has set up a romantic moonlit picnic with Sang-Eun, and I'm impressed that he's lugged a passed-out Ji-ho along. While Hae-Jin goes to order from his friend's food stand, Sang-Eun looks at a sleeping Ji-ho curiously since he's been acting out of character all day. Hae-Jin comes back and comments on how he's such a sloppy drunk and that's probably why his ex divorced him. That's a low blow, man. Sang-Eun and Hae-Jin have a bonding moment over drinks. She alludes to how unhappy her past was, that even though it seems like she grew up as a rich, spoiled princess, she was actually just a pawn to be used in adults' games. Hae-Jin chimes in that, hey, he's not using her to fend off the press. If that's all he needed, he could have hired some random girl. He wants her to know that his feelings for her are sincere. Ji-ho slowly wakes up and he feels dizzy. At this time, Sang-Eun expresses that she desires to be kissed by romance, and hearing this, Hae-Jin goes for it and kisses her full on the lips. Ji-ho witnesses this in his disoriented state and pretty much passes out again. The next day, the three of them take the same car back home. Ji-ho calls in sick for the first time in his career, and his boss is actually happy that he finally lets himself go for once, which proves him to be human. In the elevator, Ji-ho wants to warn Hae-Jin to keep his boundaries with Sang-Eun, but Hae-Jin lets him know in advance that he's already clarified his relationship with Sang-Eun earlier during the day. Ji-ho realizes that the kiss he saw wasn't in his dreams, it was in real life. As for Woo, we haven't seen him in a while, he's nervous about having to pretend to be Sang-Eun's husband in front of Miss Yu. When he approaches her for advice on which shirt to wear to his friend's wedding, she demands to know if those two were his only options because they are both horrible. As she walks out the door, Woo looks at the shirt in his left hand and says, I think she looked at you a little longer, so let's go with you. Miss Yu is meeting with Ina Group again, trying to push forward her plan of setting Sang-Eun up with a luxurious life. She wants to arrange a marriage for her with the Kang group again, except now the only unmarried candidate is Hae-Jin, but there are rumors that he's recently engaged. As Miss Yu browses through tabloid photos of Hae-Jin, she notices that his fiancée has the exact same scarf as Sang-Eun and asks the Ina reps who she is. They tell her that his fiancé's identity remains hidden. Speaking of the mysterious fiancé, Sang-Eun is currently freaking out. She is confident that she likes Ji-ho, but she didn't expect Hae-Jin to kiss her so suddenly. She's now worried that Ji-ho may have seen the kiss and likely misunderstood. The next day, Ji-yeon meets with Hae-Jin to go over some legal business. As she's leaving, she runs into Ji-ho in the elevator. People run into each other a lot in the elevator in the show. When Ji-yeon learns that Ji-ho bought the apartment that she's always wanted, she feels touched and a little regretful too. Ji-ho doesn't want to talk too deeply to this ex who's hurt him so badly. He reassures her that he's gone over her a long time ago and is married to his current wife for 5 years already. Sang-Eun overhears this conversation in the quad. Initially, she's happy that Ji-ho called her his wife, but then her face falls because of what he said next. Maybe because Ji-ho wants his ex to feel bad, he lets her know that his wife has been divorced 12 times. In fact, it's her job to marry and divorce people. Sang-Eun leaves and comes home dejected. To make matters worse, Miss Yu bothers her about knowing that she's dating Hae-Jin by comparing Hae-Jin's fiancé's outfit photos to Sang-Eun's wardrobe. Sang-Eun doesn't deny it and lets her know that she's planning to cancel the wedding at the last minute as a way of spitting in Miss Yu's face again. Miss Yu doesn't believe her and calls Ina Group to proceed with setting up the arranged marriage. Sang-Eun goes to the gym to work off her stress and runs into the last person she wants to see, Ji-yeon. Of course, she can't help but show off her flexible, slender body to the ex-wife. That night, Ji-ho finds Sang-Eun again and expresses his anger at her kissing Hae-Jin. Sang-Eun also lets it rip that she overheard his convo with his ex this morning, which showed her no respect. The fight actually helps to clear up their layers of misunderstandings, and Sang-Eun learns on the drive home that before Ji-ho passed out, he actually caught her out to confess. After they talked things out, Ji-ho leans over and kisses Sang-Eun passionately. As Sang-Eun eagerly returns his kiss, we gotta believe that they're finally going to be together, right? This drama really motivates us to confess when we hold feelings for someone. To a degree, you should be able to feel whether the other person reciprocates your feelings. In those cases, just be brave and go for it. The longer you wait, the more chances for misunderstandings, or worse, for others to come swoop in and take what could be yours. Now, how do you think Hae-Jin will react to this? He seems so sure that Sang-Eun will like him back eventually. Let me know in the comments. And please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode of Love in Contract. Thank you.